Right now, we're following some breaking news here tonight at 5 o'clock. Louisville Metro Safe is reporting that a police officer may be involved in a crash here in Louisville. There's also reports of injuries in this crash. Right now, we don't know the extent of the injuries or how many people are involved. It happened on Carrick Lane and Dixie Highway. That's just south of Rockford Lane and PRP. You may want to avoid the area while police are investigating. We do have a crew on the way to the scene. We'll bring you updates as soon as they become available. Also tonight at 5, fire consumes 2 semis after a 3-truck crash just before midnight north of Louisville on I-65.
2 drivers died. A third is now in the hospital. It happened at mile marker 33 on I-65 heading toward Louisville, just south of Austin, Indiana. WHAS11's Ian Hardwitt and photojournalist Paul Landers visited the scene of the accident where traffic is now flowing again.
I-65 South fully reopened after a 3 semi-truck collision caught 2 of those vehicles on fire. An Indiana State Police early investigation shows that the first truck was stopped, the second slowing down when a third slammed into it, catching trucks 2 and 3 on fire.
Both drivers in the flaming semi-trucks died. The scorched earth left behind reveals the fire spilled out into the median. You can see smoke and a coalition of local fire departments fighting the blaze in these photos provided by ISP right at the mile 33 marker north of Scottsburg. 12 hours after the late Monday night crash, the Indiana Department of Transportation finished road cleanup, unclogging the interstate traffic jam after routing vehicles through nearby Austin, Indiana for most of the morning. Cleanup began with the sunrise. As crews dismantled the wreckage, ISP Sergeant Kerry Hull shared how police believe the collision happened just before midnight.
There was construction southbound I-65 near the Scottsburg exit. Traffic was actually stopped and backed up.
That's when police say Truck 3 collided with Truck 2, catching both on fire, pushing them into Truck 1, which stopped for the construction.
There was actually another driver, a third driver in the sleeper of the third truck who was flown to University Hospital in Louisville with severe burns. So it's just a tragic crash all the way around.
A chain reaction of tragedy that happened too fast for anyone to get out of the way. In Scott County, Indiana, Ian Hardwitt, WHAS 11, on your side.
The crash still under investigation by Indiana State Police.
The driver in the truck that was stopped in traffic did survive.
A man is dead after being shot several times inside a store in the Parkland neighborhood this afternoon.
It happened inside the Two Brothers convenience store on Greenwood Avenue just after noon today. LMPD says that officers arrived on scene and tried to save the victim, but he died from his injuries. The officers on the scene told us this isn't a typical incident in that area.
We don't have a lot of problem over here. It's a local store right here for the community. They kind of manage themselves most of the time. You know, we'll have little things that pop up, but certainly nothing like this.
Right now, police do not have any suspects, but the urging you to call the anonymous tip line if you do know any information. That's 574 LMPD.
Also tonight, we have an update for you. Police say the suspect in a triple shooting in Jeffersontown last week turned himself in this morning. Investigators believe 19-year-old Sebastian Malone shot 3 people at an apartment complex on Taylorsville Road. Investigators believe 19-year-old Malone shot the 3 people at the apartment complex. 1 was killed and the other 2 are expected to survive. In their initial investigation, police said a fight between Malone and the 3 victims escalated into Malone firing shots at them. And we have an update to that house fire that happened in Shively yesterday. An elderly man died at the hospital after being badly burned in this fire. According to first responders, it was called in around lunchtime at home on Candor Avenue. That's near Dixie Highway and the Watterson Expressway exchange. When crews got to the home, they had to force the door open and then found a fire in the kitchen area. 84-year-old Norman Thomas Sr. was taken to the hospital with extensive injuries and did not survive. Louisville Fire Department's arson unit is investigating how the blaze occurred. Well, more news tonight. Work is underway at Churchill Downs. We're getting closer to the final turn for the momentous Kentucky Derby 150, and that includes making the track as safe as possible for the horses and the riders.
Racing will actually start on Saturday night, the opening night of the spring meet. Last year's running of the spring meet was full of confusion and sadness after a series of tragedies at the track. 12 horses died at Churchill, including 2 on Derby Day. That forced the unprecedented decision to move racing to Ellis Park in Henderson, Kentucky. An investigation into the deaths was inconclusive, as the Horse Racing Integrity and Racing Authority determined there was no common link to determine why the horses broke down. This afternoon, HISA held a virtual press conference saying safety in horse racing should be a year-long effort, not just during the Kentucky Derby.
To make the Derby as safe as possible, we need to ensure that horses are receiving the same high level of care and attention they receive at Churchill Downs everywhere else. And with our uniform rules, we can be sure that every horse, no matter where or when it's running, is receiving the highest level of scrutiny and care, not just when they show up to the Kentucky Derby.
HISA says they've also seen improvements from Churchill Downs and their care in the last year since last year's incidents. Focused investigator John Charlton dug deep into the tragedies of the track with a series of reports. Tonight at 6, he'll have more on what HISA revealed today heading into Derby 150.
As everyone's focusing on the track for Derby 150 and the field for the Kentucky Derby, now you can get the first look at the Derby in Oaks Field from April 25th through May 1st. Churchill Downs will be open daily from 7 to 10 a.m. for practices open to the public. The Derby horses will have yellow saddle towels and Oaks horses will be wearing pink. Guests can park at Churchill Downs and watch the horses in the morning for free.
The Derby is just around the corner, and soon enough visitors will be pouring into Louisville, ready for the fastest 2 minutes in sports.
Today, the Muhammad Ali International Airport is ready to welcome everybody to town, and despite the construction, they want to ensure that you won't waste your time at our airport. Jose Alonso has the story.
Multiple airlines plan to bring a lot of people in and out of Louisville for Derby 150. Now, the airport is still under construction, but they plan to give visitors the best experience they can. Around the facility, you can still see multiple signs of construction on both the top and bottom floors. Executive Director for the airport, Dan Mann, says things should look different just in time for Wednesday, the day they expect the most visitors flying into Derby City.
We want to have this place open as much as possible. This is a 24/7 operation, but all the construction that you see now downstairs, those walls have come down. All that construction will be wrapped up and ready to go for Wednesday when the first wave of visitors come to Louisville for their first time.
Mann says they expect to have 24,000 people flowing through on the Sunday and Monday after Derby. This is in part to the larger airplanes and increased amount of nonstop flights from airlines. In Louisville, Jose Alonso, WHAS11 on your side.
Louisville Tourism says this increased amount of visitors could leave a milestone mark on the city's economy. Just between Oaks and Derby Day alone, they estimate to bring in about $405 million.
And they say that's thanks to the multiple parties that'll be catered with food and flowers. As of today, they say our hotel occupancy stands at 92% for Derby week. That's pretty good, as we're almost 2 weeks out. As we know, Derby weekend is a big draw for Kentuckiana, boosting our tourism numbers every year. And this year, Airbnb says searches for rentals have increased 30% compared to last year. People all over from the United States are coming to Louisville, and we can see just how far they're traveling. The most guests are coming from Indianapolis, according to Airbnb, and then Chicago, New York City, and Atlanta.
Well, a day like today is one we certainly would love to have on Derby Day. In the 70s, sunny. If we could pick it, Doug, that'd be nice.
It was nice with the nice cool breeze coming out of there and really cooling things down. So, Colleen, I know you want to promise those out-of-town visitors we just told everybody about just great, perfect weather.
I'm hoping for it because it would be so nice to have 70, sunny degree weather, but it's April and this time of year. Yeah, it was nice out, but we're starting to see those clouds build with our next front approaching. So expect widespread rain just in about 2 hours here in the metro. It did pick up speed a little bit, so we're expecting it a little bit earlier than the evening. In fact, it's already entering some of our counties over near Bedford right now. Just some light showers. Thankfully, no storms expected with this system. We don't really have that kind of energy to even produce any lightning. Looking at our Max HD radar, just some light showers, maybe some downpours out there. Really good for our plants when we're seeing this kind of rain out there. So we are seeing some clouds here over Waterfront Park. Waterfront Wednesday, the first one is tomorrow night. I think it's a really nice forecast for that. So thankfully that rain is tonight. Right now we're at 73 here at the airport, 69 over in E-Town, upper 60s, low 70s. And if you need to take that dog for a walk here over the next few hours, it's going to be a hit or miss chance by 6, 7 o'clock. But then once we head past 8 o'clock, I think that's when it's going to be more widespread around Jefferson, Floyd, Clark County, here around the metro. So latest timing on the wave of rain. We are seeing it starting to enter Jefferson County around 8 o'clock tonight. Yes, we can see some downpours with it, but for the most part, I'm really thinking some light showers. Really expected to weaken as it crosses Louisville. I'll talk about if we'll see rain tomorrow morning at the bus stop or not coming up. Doug, Shay.
All right, Colleen, thank you very much. The first witness is back on the stand for another day in the testimony in the historic criminal trial of former President Donald Trump. David Pecker, a longtime friend of Trump and the former publisher for the National Enquirer, was on the stand today. He admitted he was the eyes and ears of the Trump campaign ahead of the 2016 election. Prosecutors say Pecker told Trump that adult film actress Stormy Daniels had a story that could turn into a sex scandal. Prosecutors say at Trump's discretion, his fixer, Michael Cohen, wired Daniels $130,000 and then, quote, to hide the true nature of the payment, Trump allegedly decided Cohen's reimbursement should be recorded as legal services. Pecker says prior to the election, his magazines never caught and killed any stories for Trump. Trump has denied any sexual relationship with Daniels, and he has pleaded not guilty to falsifying business records.